Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Zeigler, lead human at the Human Score, and today I'm honored to be joined by Rebecca Dutcher from Red66 Marketing. Red66 is one of the nominees for the Global Human Centered Organization Award. This award recognizes organizations that put people at the heart of how work is designed, decisions are made, and value is created. And the most meaningful part is that nominations come from those who experience that impact firsthand. Today isn't about metrics or checklists. It's about hearing the real story behind Red 66 marketing, the beginnings, the values, and the choices that shape a truly human-centered workplace. Thank you, Rebecca, for being here. Let's dig in.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Yeah, let's start with the origin story of Red 66. How did it begin? What problem or opportunity were you hoping to address when you started it?
A little competitive, and I started it because I always wanted to do it my way. I worked for agencies for 15 years prior to starting Red 66. I had a lot of loyal clients that followed me from agency to agency, and then had a mentor who actually encouraged me to hang out my own shingle. So,
Hmm.
so
Oh,
there I was.
I love that. A little rebel spirit. I think Steve Jobs' quote about rebels and misfits and innovators is key to my conversations with a lot of entrepreneurs, and it sounds like that's a spirit you hold as well. When you think about the leadership philosophy that you brought to Red 66 and are creating with them, what do you feel shaped that philosophy?
There's a, I always say there's a lot of things that shaped it. When I think about, why I set out on my own, I wanted to treat clients fairly. I wanted to do really good work and have that relationship for a really long time. My vision was clients for life. So as I grew and added team members too, I wanted them to have a really good experience, and it was new to me. Although, in past jobs, I was always a challenging employee, always challenging the status quo and wanting to do more and get my hands dirty and figure things out. So I learned a lot of leadership lessons along that way too.
Hmm.
So when I look at when we started 9 years ago to where I'm at now, I think I learn something new every quarter.
Yeah.
And I learned from the team, and I'm learning this last year is really I need to push myself from a leadership perspective and more on that visionary, because we've
Hmm.
built a really good team that they do the work and they're fantastic.
Yeah. So when you were that difficult employee and you had ideas you wanted leadership to embrace or get behind, how did that shape you as a leader and how do you do it differently?
um, well, sometimes I was very much fine. I'll figure it out how to do it myself,
Uh-huh.
or we need to do this better. And then I'd outline some processes or steps or things that we could adopt, or I would just question things, which leaders sometimes love. um
Or not.
right, like we did a lot of website development at one agency, and we were custom trainings for each one was wearing the team thin. And I
Mm.
said, what if we just did a monthly training because it was all on the same platform? They're like, that's a great idea. Why didn't we think of that? Or, just reading people that they wanted to move, two people in these different seats. And I said, that, but that person hates this. They wouldn't know it because they weren't close enough. So making the call to get people in the right seats was really
Mm.
important too. Um,
Yeah.
those are a few things that stick with me. And now even here today, I can see, like, you can see if someone's like they're not loving what they're doing, or if there's something else going on,
Hmm.
and just questioning that instead of letting it ride until someone wants to speak up, because a lot of people don't.
Yeah. So I heard a couple things there. The one you saw how the training, the way it was being done, was draining the team or individuals on the team. And then also in job placement, you saw where things just weren't a fit, even though maybe it was a natural progression, or it seemed like it was a natural progression, but you spoke out. That's kind of definition of human-centered leadership, looking at the needs of the individuals and also their potential. Uh, is that something you studied formerly, or what do you attribute to your human-centered leadership style that came out even in when you worked for another agency?
Um, I I've always been observant, right? Just
Mm,
taking a lot of things in. I trust my instincts a lot. Some of it might go back to, being on a lot of teams when I was younger
hmm
and playing a lot of sports, right? You figure out what someone's really good at and put them in the right spot and let them, own it.
Yeah.
And then I've read a lot of books, and I even one I think about is Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. And
hmm
just sometimes we see something or we know it's not working, but we keep going because we're afraid to like say no, or to make a change.
hmm
But I've seen that drain people in the past, and so it's, I don't know, having tougher conversations and just figuring things out is easier to do sooner rather than later. Um,
Yeah.
and you can, I mean, you can tell if someone's not happy
Yeah.
if you're paying attention.
If you're paying attention, are there specific things that you do naturally or that you do with intention from the book Blink that you mentioned?
Um, yeah, we've run on EOS as well, so the
Hmm
entrepreneurial operating system. So we look at everything in, well, 1 year, 3 year, but quarterly sprints, so every 90 days. So we're
hmm
evaluating processes and if things aren't working. Um,
hmm
we've had things where work didn't get done right, or something happened, and so I'm like, is this because someone doesn't know how to do the job, or is it because a process wasn't followed, or do we need to change a process? That so that blink, that's where I'm like, well, we need to make a change. We're not going to just, let's not just address this, at the end of the year or when it makes sense. Like, let's fix it now.
Yeah.
So we've been, we review and update our processes every quarter. And that's so that
Wow.
the team, they're all running the same plays, but we know what
hmm
to expect from each other. And if it doesn't
Yeah.
work, that's where, again, is it a people problem? Is it a process problem? Or something else? And we like to figure that out sooner rather than later.
Yeah. What would you describe the values behind that people and process idea?
Uh, yeah, values. When I started, even agencies years ago, the biggest thing was the supportive relationship with the clients, right? I've some that I've worked with since 2008 and 9 that are still with me today, right? They've moved
Mm.
4 agencies with me, and they're still here 9 years later.
Wow.
Um, so it's, never settle, right? Never just being satisfied with the status quo. And
hmm
my team will tell you, like, I'm like, I read an article or I saw this, and they're like, oh boy, here she goes again. But that's where the quarterly stuff comes in good, because we'll put it, to address later.
hmm
Um, but it's that supportive relationship, the persistence, and those core values, like being very relational. Like,
hmm
nobody enjoys hard conversations, but that's where sometimes like the biggest change or improvement comes from.
Yeah.
um and I have I have that face where, like, if my mouth doesn't say it, my face probably will.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
a poker face.
Yeah.
um so I'm just finding it's easier to, kind of have those tough calls sooner rather than later. And those values are like, I want a good relationship, I don't want something to get in the way of it. I want to support, the team, to support the clients and, the people that we
Yeah.
work with. And that's where a lot
Yeah.
of it comes from.
I love your view on supportive relationships, and it's interesting how you make a real point to address conflict as soon as possible. I was thinking as you were talking about conflict in my own relationships, and if it's truly someone you care about, you're going to have that conflict and get it out of the way because you want that relationship to be whole and harmonious, or however you want to put it. So it's almost counterintuitive in listening to you that conflict resolution is the way that you support relationships, right? By
Mhm.
caring enough to get in there and work out the details of whatever the conflict is. I love that.
Mhm.
You mentioned the quarterly reviews and obviously conflict resolution, but are there some specific practices or rituals that you do as an organization that makes you human centered on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, definitely. We have, so we use Google Workspace. So we have our chat groups. We have a business chat, but we also have a fun chat where we
Hmm.
share just fun things that might be happening. We all work from home Mondays and Fridays, and we have a couple
Hmm.
who are totally remote. But we have some clients that are uniform rental and we'll see their truck in the wild. So we share
Yeah,
photos of that, but there's pet photos, there's things that are happening. So, or just random things. So we can all connect
yeah.
there. We do a monthly virtual, what we call happy hour. So
Mm.
we've had client trivia, we've done Jeopardy, we've done Pictionary. We have a whole like party planning committee that put those things together. That's just fun because when we've had in the past many more who were fully remote. So it's a great
Hmm.
way to keep them all together. We have
Hmm.
a few more in the office now, but still, that's a great way to stay connected and learn things about people.
Yeah. Tell me
Um,
about the client game you played, you mentioned.
oh, sure. I think it was a Jeopardy game, but we took facts for like who's the longest standing client, or just fun facts and trivia about different clients that we work with. Um, so that people got to know more about each client too.
Yeah.
And I couldn't answer them.
Well, I guess that means you're a great leader and that your team is taking care of them well.
Yes, they
Yeah.
are. They
Yeah.
are.
That's wonderful. Um, how do you create a space for your employees to give you honest feedback? How do you close that loop on making their voices matter?
Yeah. We have well, with that EOS, we have our weekly team meeting where we go over like shout outs,
Hmm.
all of our headlines and things like that, the things we're working on, but also other opportunities for improvement. EOS calls them issues. We call them
Hmm.
like I words, right? They're ideas, innovations, but other opportunities for improvement, and things that we need to address. So whether someone's struggling with capacity or a client, or different things, they'll put it in there. So we
Yeah.
can talk through it as a team. We have another one just for leadership, but we also have a quarterly employee survey. It's
Hmm.
anonymous,
Hmm.
so that we have some different rankings, but then we ask them like, you know, we ask them, did they feel fairly compensated? We ask, did they feel like they're learning, and growing professionally? Do they have support for their personal lives? And then we ask them for other, you know, we've gotten some really good feedback, and
Hmm.
you don't always know who it is, though we have a smaller team, but
Yeah.
that's helped some other things surface that people wouldn't necessarily share with me.
Hmm.
I also have an amazing leadership team. So they, they're closer to some of the team than I am. So things just
Hmm.
kind of naturally bubble up that way.
Yeah. But that's great that you have that feedback loop for people to share their voices, and when it comes to taking what you hear and making changes, do you have any examples that you can share of changes that have been made based on employees' voices, their ideas
Oh,
or improvements, or what was the other I you gave, innovations?
yeah, yeah. There's been a few, any process improvement we get, but looking at how how we set up the team, like if we were
Hmm.
moving people into new seats, it's actually helped us clarify, this most recent quarter, Q3, we asked them like, what do you think, what are we really, really good at? What does the team think we're the best at? And what should we stop doing? So, you know,
Mm.
marketing, while we're full service boutique agency, that's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And we all agreed like we can do social media, we can. We do need to find a way to get better content from our clients. So
Mm-hmm.
we're finding a way to make that like a value add or an add-on service where it's more intentional so we can actually bring
Mm-hmm.
on a person who's passionate about it. Like our team will do it,
Uh, yeah.
but nobody loves it. So
Yeah.
it's making sure we get people in the right seat.
Mm.
There's others where I could tell, we took on a really big account a few years ago, and someone was kind of stuff managing that account on an island and
Mm-hmm.
didn't get access to some other professional development stuff because they were so busy.
Yeah.
So we actually, I took that, I could see that happening and started to find like some additional goals or ways to help that person grow. Um, so, and it's, looking at the feedback, like some job satisfaction, like we were taking on clients that weren't a good fit. Um,
Mm.
we've we've now stood up for ourselves a lot more, and those that would drive the team crazy or
Yeah.
just exhaust them, right? Emotionally
Yeah.
exhausted, trying to please a client that you just couldn't please.
Yeah.
And then always being over budget. So giving them the grace to say, if it doesn't work, like let's address it and find a way to set them free.
Yeah. Set them free and yourself, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Um, when you think about how you lead and human-centered leadership practices that you have, is there an example that you can place where you can see the impact of that? Like you know that the impact of something was because of your human-centered leadership?
Oh yeah. Well, you've seen some of the teams posts on how they love their jobs, which
Yeah.
is great. I always say maybe that's because they had really, really bad ones before. I don't know.
Yeah.
But every quarter we do a team meeting. So we share like a recap of how we did that quarter. So I am very transparent with the team on how we're doing, like financially, what do our growth plans look like, new opportunities that are out there, what we're learning, what we're hearing. And then, the last month or so, we've been working in healthcare, which is
Mm.
great. So expensive, right? It's like one of the biggest
Yeah.
expenses we have. And just being open with the team, like I'm looking at 3 or 4 different options. We're gonna have to change this, and but we will get it taken care of. I want to make sure everyone has great coverage and a fair price. So just,
Yeah.
being open with them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that goes back to, well, we've had some on the team that said they've never worked anywhere where someone was so transparent
Mm.
with how things were. I have another account manager who's been with us about 6 months now, where she was before, like the leader, everything was an emergency. And
Mm.
she just felt anxious, going into work or anything that she was doing. And here it's like she knows we'll figure it out. Like I'm like, it's okay. You're not going to figure this out at 8 p.m. Like we'll talk about it tomorrow. And
Yeah.
it's okay, right? So just having that calming mindset instead of everything being an emergency and last minute.
Yeah.
But those quarterly meetings, like we actually, people didn't always retain it because it was just a meeting, and then we put together a slide presentation. So then we would record it so everyone had like all the information, they could see it as we're talking through it.
Yeah.
So that's where like bigger, policy changes or things like that roll out too.
Yeah. So I love, first of all, I do want to acknowledge that someone on your team made a post on LinkedIn, and that person is who nominated your organization for
Yeah.
the Human Centered Award. I've since the beginning of the award, I think, which was the 1st of November, I've been monitoring that I love my job hashtag, and I can tell you that it is not one of the more popular hashtags on LinkedIn, though I'd
Oh,
love to see it become one. So real kudos to you that you're creating an environment that employees love and love so much that they're willing to use their social media presence to
Yeah.
acknowledge how wonderful it is. I think that's exceptional, and we're so glad that we found you. Um,
Yeah.
let's talk about the leading human first isn't always the easiest path. But I love your transparency and your willingness to tackle those human issues. What challenges have you encountered, and how have you stayed anchored in your values when it was challenging?
Well,
Need a deep breath for that one,
yeah,
huh?
no. Um, I do have a really good leadership team, so I'm surrounded by three or four others who also understand me, and we're a little different. Like one we call, she's very much a peacekeeper, so she thinks about things and looks at them differently than I do. So
Mm.
I also have my leading ladies chat where I'll just sometimes need to vent and they'll be like, okay, like just relax. That's kind
Yeah.
of my safe space.
Mm.
I also have two coaches right now. I have
Hmm.
one that helps kind of on the business. She's our we, instead of EOS, we use System and Soul, but she's our implementer person now who helps guide our quarterlies and our annual planning.
Mm.
I have another coach for me individually to help me focus on the business, and I meet with him every other week. Um, and I also joined a women's entrepreneurial fellowship through the Small Business Association here in
Yeah.
Michigan. So I'm surrounded by other business women who are dealing with some of the same changes. So
Mm.
it's sometimes it's having that safe place to just talk about all these challenges and things that we're faced with as leaders that,
Mm.
you know, you don't want to concern the team, right? By
Hmm.
anything like, oh my gosh, healthcare is going to cost us over $100,000 this year, right? And then they're like, oh no, is somebody going to get laid off? Like, what's happening? Um,
Yeah.
and and I was that employee a long time ago. I think about a job I had in early 2000s. They were moving offices, and it was downtown, and there was going to be, parking, and I was just all spun up about it, and no one like just answered my question, like, what about
Hmm.
parking? What's going to happen? You say it's going to cost more. Is that going to, are we going to be okay? And
Yeah.
no one ever said anything. Like, yeah, it's fine, we're going to cover parking, it's no big deal. That's all I would have needed. So that's
Yeah.
why I make sure and ask like team questions. Um and maybe overthinking thing is a good thing.
Yeah.
But to address those concerns, even when we rolled out, the healthcare plan that we did select, I showed them all the things that I researched, and pricing and options and coverage, um and answered any and all questions because that's what's
Yeah.
important to them. And we assume,
Yeah.
I mean, they're younger than me,
Yeah.
so
Sure.
sometimes it's only the second or third time they've ever been through a benefits thing. So
Yeah.
lots of just answering those questions.
It sounds like you really care and want to understand everything that goes on from their point of view. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Um, so as you navigate an AI-enabled future,
Hmm.
how are you designing a future at Red 66 that keeps humans at the center of organizational growth? What does this whole AI adoption era we are in mean for you and your team?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've been keeping an eye on AI things for probably a year or two now, looking at how those things we're changing our business and our industry, not to mention
Yeah,
everybody else's.
yeah,
Um,
your
and that's
customers.
where, yeah, yeah. And some of our quarterly goals, like having someone that really understands AI prompting, from a content perspective. Our web project manager, how do they use chat or others to help with coding questions? So, we've adopted some AI policies and procedures. Like it
Mm,
impacts our business in that we can actually do better work faster, therefore saving
mhm.
customers money. We can actually do more output, but we have
Yeah.
a process where, we create things for our client voice and their ideal client profile, and then someone who might use AI from a content perspective, right? It's always that account manager and a person is always reviewing it.
Hmm.
we look at automations and things in running our business. So, like I said, we're similar in revenue as we have in the last few years, but we're doing it with a few less people. So
Hmm.
we've gotten more efficient for sure.
Yeah.
AI has freed up some more time and capacity. But we're always testing. So, like this quarter, we've been testing AI website builders, and they are just
Mhm.
not there, right?
Yeah.
No, no.
Yeah. I tried that with human score myself. So no.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to build a cool web application for a marketing math calculator, and it worked better when we did it in a Google Sheet. So we
Oh,
test and we
yeah.
learn. And I tell the team and everyone that professional development is a personal responsibility,
Hmm.
but that we're always there to support them. So like the business has quarterly goals we want to hit. Everyone on the team also has a personal or professional development goal they want to hit each quarter, and we help hold
Yeah.
them accountable. I think the person you saw on LinkedIn is funny. Her job actually came up at her wedding after she'd been with
Mm.
us just a few months. Um, but she wanted to start having a better personal brand and presence on LinkedIn. So on her
Mm.
scorecard, we added that she would do 2 posts a week.
Hmm.
So we can help hold her accountable. We don't have to see them or anything, but it's just that little extra step.
Yeah.
And then we all check in on our quarterly goals. So that's led to, again, process improvement, testing 2 or 3 different AI web builders and learning pretty quickly that's not going to work.
Yeah. We'll
Looking
revisit
at
that next
others.
year.
Yep, looking at others, like what do we put on the like next quarter? We've tested out an AI content engine from someone else, and it's like it's just not there. We gave it another 30 days, and it's like, nope, okay, we've tried. Um,
Yeah.
so we're in that digital marketing space, and
Hmm.
it I think about when I started in SEO and, getting found on Google and all the Google updates. And now it's getting found in chat and Gemini and all these other things. We just
Yeah.
had a whole team training with SEMrush, one of our providers,
Hmm.
about a whole new AI visibility tool. So the whole team knows kind of what we're doing. It might not impact them directly, but again, everyone needs to have a basic understanding of what we do here and what we're challenged with and helping our clients win.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, final question for you. If you could share one message with leaders around the world about building a human-centered organization, what would it be?
Mm. For me, I would say it's been being transparent when you're communicating with them, like clear expectations, and being observant and open to feedback, because we wouldn't have grown or as successful as we are, if I didn't let the team do what they're the best in the world at, and
Mm.
support them to get there.
Yeah, I love that. A true acres of diamond story, it sounds like, in the
Uh-huh.
making.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your leadership, your example, and your commitment to building a workplace where people matter. And thank you for being a part of the global human-centered organization movement. We really appreciate you and the work you're doing. And we look forward to seeing if Red 66 Marketing is the winner of this year's award. So stay tuned.
Thank you.